Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm WildSparrow and welcome back to GFW. It's been an exact week since we last saw this series, since we last saw Impact. Now if you remember, we left off, Pentagon was injured, we're gearing up for a lethal lockdown, just called lockdown I believe. So this is our go home show for lockdown, so all the matches should be decided tonight. Let's get right into it, shall we? So we opened the show with Sting announcing that the X Division Championship, contrary to earlier belief, will be vacant. It will be vacated. Pentagon will be stripped of the X Division Championship due to inability to defend at Lockdown. So there will be 4 qualifier matches for Lockdown tonight, with the winners facing off in a fatal 4-way at Lockdown this Sunday. Still on this episode, because we're doing 2 shows an episode, if you don't know. So we opened the show with a 100 rating. These are just popping off these days. So in our first qualifier, Kushida defeated Trevor Lee, therefore advancing to the Fatal 4-Way at Lockdown with the Midnight Express. Then we had tag team partners clash as Johnny Impact defeated Matt Sydal to qualify for the X Division Championship match at Lockdown with the Starship Pain. So now we have Johnny Impact and Kushida into that match. Then there's a bit of tension between the two. Johnny Impact offers, a hand to Matt Sydal for him to get up. Sydal just hesitates and sort of glances at Impact sideways, untrusting of what Impact's intentions actually were. Maybe he was scared that Impact was going to betray him. We don't know. So yeah, high Impact. There's some tension there, but nothing ever happens, and they just walk to the back, happily ever after. And we'll see how happy they are on Sunday when Johnny Impact has a match and Matt Sydal doesn't. Now in the third qualifier, Sexy Chucky T defeated El Hijo del Fantasma by submission with a cross crab, therefore qualifying as well for the Fatal 4-Way at Lockdown. So right now it's Kushida, Impact, Taylor. And then we have a break from the X Division matches. Rosemary says that she will face Jade at Lockdown. She's the last member left of the Dollhouse. There's nobody else. She's going to end the Dollhouse when suddenly she's blindsided by Awesome Kong. Clearly, Rosemary was either sort of being disrespectful to Kong, or she was actually forgetting about Kong. But as it stands, Rosemary will face Jade at Lockdown, and it looks like Jade will have at least Awesome Kong in her corner, maybe even Marty Bell, if she's recovered from the beating she took last week. And in the fourth qualifier, Eddie Edwards defeated Kota Ibushi by submission with an Achilles lock, but that's okay because the Golden Lovers didn't want the X Division title anyway. They're opponentless for the pay-per-view, so they're just going to take the night off, they're saying, when suddenly the Addiction, Bad Influences music hits, and Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian return to Impact, clearly to challenge Omega and Ibushi for the Tag Team Championships at Lockdown, and I can confirm that that will be the match for Lockdown. Then in a freestyle segment, the Austin Aries and Liger contract signing that Sting sort of is making Austin Aries attend because he knows that Aries will try to dodge it. It goes a bit awry when Tyrus runs in to try and attack Jushin Liger. We know by now that Tyrus is Austin Aries' hitman. He worked for Austin Aries to help him retain over Moose last month. And Moose, who is under a no contact clause with Tyrus until Lockdown, can only chase him away from the ring but can't actually hit him. So we have Moose chase Tyrus away because him and Austin Aries were beating down Jushin Liger. This is a weird cast of people in a segment, and I just realized it. We got a 100, so we're fine. Then in about that good heat and decent wrestling, Ethan Carter III, James Storm, and Lashley, 3 people who have been fighting LAX for months, defeated El Texano, Homicide, and Ortiz in 13-19 when Ethan Carter III pinned Homicide with the 1%er. after some interference from Abyss, who attacked Homicide, and El Hijo del Fantasma tried to distract Lashley, but ultimately couldn't. Gets a 63 rating. It's pretty weak, but it is what it is. Then we have Abyss declaring war on LAX to avenge Havoc losing his career. Clearly, Abyss is upset that Jimmy Havoc is no longer with GFW and wants to take out LAX. This is a mission that Lashley has embarked on, so maybe they'll join forces. I don't know yet. You guys tell me if they should. And then we had the show with EC3, Lashley, Abyss, and James Storm controlling and holding down the fort in the ring to keep LAX away, who just sort of scurried to the back. And that's our show ender. We get an 82 rating, which isn't bad, but we've done better, and we can do better, and we will do better. But I'm going to make a quick cut right here, and we'll be back with GFW Lockdown 2018. And welcome back to GFW. This is Lockdown now. I hope you guys enjoyed the Go Home show. I did something a little bit crazy in between shows. I'll show you guys right after we get done with these results. So yeah, the matches are already set, so let's get right into it. We start off with LAX, Ortiz and Santana taking on Lashley and James Storm. Storm and Lashley beating Ortiz and Santana when Lashley beat Ortiz by pinfall with a spear. Then we had Moose Maryland take on Tyrus in a cage match. This is Lockdown, remember. And Moose beat Tyrus, sort of avenging the steal that happened. You know, basically he was hijacked of his Grand Championship opportunity. Then in the next segment we have Abyss beat Homicide in a first blood match. Abyss continuing on his quest to defeat and destroy LAX entirely. Seems to have utterly dismantled Homicide in this match, and then moves on to utterly dismantle El Texano Jr. So in one night, 2 members of LAX have been taken out. Abyss is really on a rampage, and it's been a while since we've seen this side of Abyss. Then, to make defense number 4 of the GFW Knockouts Championship, Rosemary defeats Jade with a skyward suplex, followed by Kong attacking Rosemary after the match and declaring that she is next. So at Victory Road, it will be a 1v1 Rosemary versus Awesome Kong for the championship. Then we have the X Division Championship match. Chuck Taylor, the very obvious dark horse in this match, the only non-main eventer, defeated Johnny Impact, Eddie Edwards, and Kushida in a cage match when Chuck Taylor defeated Eddie Edwards by submission with a cross crab. Whoops, gonna have to replace that so that it shows. Then we have Austin Aries use the Horns of Aries to defeat Jushin Liger by submission and make defense number 4 of the Grand Championship. Then the match that was decided just this week, the Golden Lovers took on the Addiction, or Bad Influence, however you want to call them, to make defense number 2 of the GFW World Tag Team Championships. And in the main event, Ethan Carter III defeated El Hijo del Fantasma in a cage match by pinfall with a 1%er. Ethan Carter III makes defense number 8 of the GFW Global Heavyweight Championship. But as he's celebrating, the lights go out, and on screen appears Ethan Carter 3, 2, 1, Cero Miedo.